Good morning, Malcolm Nance.
Good morning. I was actually dancing to that song.
Yeah. we were all chair dancing in here.
Yeah.
We've been dancing all week. Wow.
I know.
What a week, right?
Well, yeah. You think anything's going to happen here in the near future? War with Iran,
Yeah.
something distracting other than their South African farmers being murdered. This week is absolutely insane. And that's why I didn't want to come on Wednesday. There was no coming on Wednesday and Thursday of this week.
Yeah.
You guys needed time to digest all the schadenfreude deliciousness of everything that was going down. And now we can savor it.
Well, Malcolm, yeah. I mean, it's hard to know where to start with all this because this really, when it's interesting, too, we were just talking about Rudy Giuliani saying, the people will revolt if he's impeached. And what have you been saying for the longest time? You're afraid he is going to, and you actually echoed something Omarosa said, is essentially he wants to start a race war. And you've said he's going to try to start a civil war.
If you look at his comments about South Africa and the murder of white farmers, and then the comments that they've made about this young jogger who was murdered in Iowa, apparently by an immigrant, race war is not what they want. They want strife within the American populace in order to divide us and then eliminate our ability to electorally stop them from doing anything. So, if that requires a race war, he'll empower the people who will create trouble. And the funny thing is, the people on the front line who would have to deal with this are law enforcement, who are some of his biggest supporters. Right. And so, I don't think it's as nefarious as it seems. I think it's just stupid evil.
Well,
because
it's just
stupid. Go ahead.
We keep saying it's thuggy, mobby stuff. It really is. It's a shame. Nice country you got there. Shame if something were to happen to it.
And he's using mob vocabulary, openly now.
Right. Yeah. He's a rat. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I flipped him.
His description yesterday, which I just thought was utterly amazing, where he comes out and says, these guys flip and they lie and it ought to be illegal. He is literally redefining what to his population, to that 27% of all Americans and 37% of his voting base, that this is what laws should look like under him, which means he is not a supporter of the rule of law. He's the supporter of Donald Trump's law.
Yeah.
And, I just want to point out a quick thing.
Yeah.
Nazi Germany, everything that was done in World War II was legal according to German laws. But when we held the trials in Nuremberg, they discovered that it was the Supreme Courts and the justices and everyone else in the legal system that went along with patently dangerous laws that violated crimes against humanity. Trump is doing this. He is redefining law to make illegal things legal, and that's dangerous.
Yeah, and as John Harwood tweeted, Trump to Fox, flipping almost ought to be illegal. 30, 40 years I've been watching flippers. 32 years ago, crime boss Tony Salerno, who supplied Trump Plaza concrete, was convicted of racketeering. His top deputy flipped to help the FBI. The lawyer for both Salerno and Trump, Roy Cohn. I mean... Right, we just had Craig Unger on. Yes, I'm sure you know the book House of Trump, House of Putin, about basically his ties to the Russian mob for however many years. That is a huge part of the reasons where why we are where we are. Right.
Absolutely, and you have to understand that statement may have been one of the most dangerous ones Donald Trump has ever made. I mean, he just yesterday this morning's wonder tweet, where he comes out and essentially says we have to go by rule of law and the attorney general shouldn't be influenced, except when I want to attack my political enemies, Hillary Clinton, Strzok, and all them. He wants to use law as a weapon system. That's not law. That's dictatorship. Yeah. And, this is the very tyranny that the Constitution, and, if you go through the Declaration of Independence, okay, and when it discusses, a tyrant prince having the characteristics, in which, rule of law is as he designates it. We had a revolution and left that system of government in order to form our system of government. And as I like to say every week, we must stand up and defend this. Because if we don't and we just go, oh, well, that's Trump being Trump, and allow his supporters to redefine what is right and what is wrong, we will go down with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Malcolm, I'm reading just every headline. You're like, oh, my God. Russian company claims White House uses its tech to conceal secret Trump Putin communications.
Oh, yeah. Let me debunk that right now. Okay.
Well, I know it's been there, but okay.
Right. But what we have is there's the Red Phone, which is a secure White House to Kremlin communication system that's been in the White House since the 1960s. I don't believe that it is physically in the White House. Okay, we have the old days. It used to be line to line, right? It used to actually go through a cable in the ocean in various trunks through NATO and in Norway and straight to the Kremlin. Now it's satellite communications, so it's near instantaneous. But we're not stupid enough to put that stuff in there. Number two. This report came from Russian
That's what I'm
news
saying.
media.
We
Don't
keep getting
believe anything from Russian news media.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like stuff, and half the time we hear things from Russian media before we hear them here.
Sure, and it might be true, but it's done with a slant in order to either discourage you or to encourage their population base.
Right. So yesterday, the Kremlin tempered expectations for a meeting with John Bolton and his counterpart, saying it sees a lack of desire to improve relations on the part of the U.S. Is this a warning shot? Is this a warning shot to Trump? Because, man, when he outlives his usefulness to Putin, right?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's a warning shot to Trump, but it's just another perfect example of manipulation of news and information to one. Its initial consumption is really for the Russian population. Number two, it's designed for the Trump supporting population, who he has convinced people who have fought the Cold War against Russia that there's nothing wrong with Russia, that Russian relations would be the greatest thing for America, and that they are just innocent people who have loads of money that somehow drops into the Republican Party coffers.
Right.
So that being said, this report is sort of like getting at his supporters to sort of pull away from where they were suddenly comfortable with dealing with Russia and using that as a hammer against anyone that stands in the way of quote unquote good relations. And of course, it will set Trump off,
Yeah.
But I think when Putin wants to get at Trump, those little news reports that come out from time to time, like Amina Galarov doing a video of hookers in a hotel like a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
That's the messages that get to Trump personally.
Yeah. We just had Lanny Davis on this week. Obviously, he's been dropping bombshells all over the place. West tweeted, Michael Cohen's attorney Lanny Davis just dropped a bombshell. Donald Trump was present at a meeting with Cohen and Don Jr. to discuss the 2016 Trump Tower meeting in which Russians allegedly promised dirt on Hillary Clinton. That there, folks, is conspiracy. This feels like it's really gathering steam and speed, Malcolm, at this point, right? I mean, it's... Preet Bahara tweets, practice note, Trump has no effective way to shut down an investigation being conducted by SDNY. That office is more insulated, enduring, and sovereign than the special counsel's office. You can fire Mueller, you can fire the U.S. attorney, you cannot fire the SDNY. I mean, it's coming at him from every direction, right? Trump Foundation, Mueller, Cohen, now Pecker, right?
We've been saying this for at least 2 years now. Trump's liability is not just with the federal government. It's with the federal government operating through the state's district attorneys, also operating with the city district attorneys, and also at the, these federal law enforcement agencies that are not part of the Mueller investigation, like the SDNY. So you've got the city of New York can come after him because everything that they did that was a crime would had to have extorted or defrauded money from the city, from the county, from the state, and then, of course, from the federal government itself. Those are three different tiers of prosecution that can happen. And now you see that the state of New York is going after the Trump family itself, the entire Trump organization. When this is done, and I've said it from the beginning, and I'm sorry, I was the first person to say it, this will become a racketeering and influence corrupt organizations act prosecution. There will be so many tentacles that they hid for years that, by the time people ask me today, what do you think about Betsy DeVos and her corporation? It'll be a few years before we can get around to those low-level, criminals. It's the high-level criminals. Which
thank God. So she'll have time to
arm all of these people.
She'll have time to arm all the teachers before then. Fantastic.
God.
Well, everybody, I'm sorry to say it, but everyone in this administration, we're going to find something dirty on them.
Yeah.
You know it, right?
Well,
Ben Carson, we're going to find out that he was selling children's cribs.
And Betsy DeVos's brother is trying to privatize the war in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Help me. Yeah, and that's getting. No one in the Defense Department is taking that serious. It's a laughable joke. But let me tell you something. He has direct access to the president. And so, which is why we're all going to vote, and we're going to mobilize people to vote this year. Bad things can happen here. Very bad things. Far worse than we've ever imagined if the wrong people get the ear of a man that controls atomic weapons. Or who can say that he's going to appoint Eric Prince as, Viceroy bin Poobah of Afghanistan, and then allow him to run 6,000 mercenaries. My God, ISIS and Al Qaeda both will be saved. Okay, if this stupidity happens.
Well, and all these things we're talking about, right? They all, despite what the White House keeps saying, this has nothing to do with us. This has nothing to do with the campaign. Oh, it's not a crime. It's like that's a load of crap. Everything is what's the word? Connected, as Marge Gunderson would say, right? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like when if SDNY gets his tax returns because of the foundation stuff, they're going to see the Russian ties. Like it is all connected, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it's all connected. What you're seeing is the Mueller team can't do everything. It only has the top 16 financial prosecutors in America. So they sort out and pass on low-level stuff which they can do the basic research and prosecutions that will facilitate his grand universal field theory, which isn't, by the way, a theory. It's very clear. This is a web network of conspiracy, in which all of these people and individuals thought that they could make money not just from working in the United States government, but from controlling the United States government. I think we've seen a fraction of a fraction of a fraction
that's
of insider trading.
I said this. Chris Hayes tweeted the same thing I said. I still think we're at the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely.
But the connection, right, Malcolm, is that whether it's National Enquirer, David Packer, whether it's what Michael Cohen did, whether it's Manafort, whether it's Russia, whether it's what happened at the FBI with, it's all a conspiracy to interfere with an election, right? To influence. It's conspiracy against the United States of America.
Against the United States, and not to interfere with an election. This was conspiracy, and I'm sorry to say it now, to steal an election by using a foreign government as their facilitators to win at all costs, no matter what damage it takes to the United States. Because, I said this from the very day they were elected on this show, that they thought they would have the masters of the universe effect. That once they won, there is nothing no one could ever do to them. No one will ever find out about it. And let me give you an analogy of the Mueller campaign. When the Coast Guard goes out and hunts icebergs, right? They fly low over them and they mark them because it's, you can't get a boat out to it right away. This is like Mueller right now is dropping hundreds of these orange dyes, not on one iceberg, but on dozens of icebergs. And we're only seeing the tip that's been marked with that orange dye. Just imagine what is under everyone. Ivanka, just Ivanka alone with the emoluments clause and the licenses with China. Jared Kushner suddenly got his entire building paid off by the government of Qatar.
Thank you.
Oh, man. We can't even start.
Now,
you're going to see prosecutions for the next 5 years without any question.
Oh, I got a tingle up my leg. Is there a reason you chose orange for the color dye that he has dropped, Mueller?
Yes. And you know why? I don't know if you saw my tweet about Maria Butina, but they put up if you haven't seen it, go online, Maria Butina in her prison jumpsuit. Okay? She is in her orange prison jumpsuit.
Oh, man.
With the makeup off.
It is kind of ironic that they're all going to be orange at the end of the day.
Yeah. But what I tweeted there, my new hashtag was "Orange is the new black."
Yeah.
So.
There you go, my friend. Well, listen, I'm on vacation next week. If history's any guide, the world will blow up. Or
there will be indictments.
What happens next? Fires Sessions, pardons Manafort. What's happening? What's going on? More
let
indictments?
me tell you something. I have a feeling that Mueller is not going to just suddenly lay back before the election. I think that the next tier of indictments, I can tell you precisely who they're going to be. It's going to be Roger Stone. It might be people from the Trump data team, and it's going to be Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Because they're next, right? We have all of Russian intelligence and the Kremlin have been implicated, but the next level would be the bridges between Russian intelligence and their influence operation and the Trump team itself.
Yeah.
And that's going to be guys like Stone and Julian Assange.
Yeah.
And
Excellent.
if it's not, then it's people that, remember, Mueller knows everything. We know nothing.
Yeah.
And it could be a surprise. It could be some low-level guy who actually was the guy that was on the keyboards.
Yep, there you go. All right, a lovely parting gift. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I won't see you next week, but a week after that, who knows? Who knows what awaits us in America? All right, Malcolm, love you, honey.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, talk to you
Bye.
soon. Bye.